Kia ora tātou, welcome back to the Wargaming Den. Another game of Kings of War for you this week. In this week's game, my Ogres will take on Gordon's Nightstalkers. The mission we're going to be playing is Loot, and we'll be playing as usual at 2,000 points. Let's have a look at my Ogre list. This is pretty much my standard Ogres these days, or a variation of it. I've got a Boomer Chariot Troop that's got the Stealthy Aura. Got a horde of boomers and another one of shooters. I've got a warrior regiment, 2 siegebreaker hordes. I've got Manny the Mammoth, 2 berserker bullies. That's a bit of a change. This time I've got a warlock with drain life and nom nom. So 11 units and about 20 units strength. And Gordon's army, which is probably looking familiar to everyone. Gordon's very different to me in the fact that he creates an army that he likes and then just plays it till he really knows its ins and outs, whereas I'm tweaking and changing 1 or 2 units each week. Oh, what if I change this? What about that? Yeah, different approaches to the game, but he really focuses on what he wants in his army, and then learns how to maximize its use. So he's already playing it pretty well. So he's got 2 butcher hordes, 3 mine screechers, a fiend horde, phantom troop, soul flare regiments, a dread fiend, a banshee, and a Essentia. I'm really struggling with the spellcasting in this army, to tell the truth. Between the mine screechers, the Soulflower regiments have Wind Blast as well. The Banshee with Resonant Chorus and the Zephyr Crown that gets 8 Wind Blast doing damage and can repeat it a second time. That's a really nice little ability. And Essentia, the Wailing Shadow, she's able to move 20 inches, get in position, and then cast Enthrall and attack as well. So lots of annoying spellcasters that Gordon uses to push things around the table. And then when he's got you out of position, his combat units, the Butchers, the Fiend Horde, the Dread Fiend, they hit really hard as well. So he's got a really nice balance to it. It does a lot of different things, and I'm struggling to come up with a counter, which is why I thought I'd give a crack with the Ogres, see if they have any more luck than my Orcs have had so far. We'll see how it goes. And here we have a nice overview of deployment. You can just about see I'm protecting my flank with the warrior regiment, and I've got a bully with them. Then I've got Manny. I've got my shooters here, siege breakers in the centre with nom nom, boomers beside them, boomer chariots in the bully. Loot, so there are 3 counters, 1, 2, 3. This one tucked in. Isn't Gordon being nicely organised over here at the start of the battle? Very impressive. My plan was to try and focus on these 2 really, which is probably reflected in my deployment. Gordon had his mine screechers and the phantoms tucked in behind this wood. He was going to advance here, use the tower to screen, and then blast. We had a bit of a misunderstanding at the start here. I thought that this wood was deployed just inside the my deployment area, so I put my shooters here so that they didn't have to move, that they'd be able to shoot from the word go. Gordon thought that he'd placed it outside, so on turn 1, rather than having clear shots and no penalties, I ended up actually having to move them. So if I'd known that beforehand, I probably would have swapped them and the boomers around to have a better line of sight. But that's just an example of clarifying things before you start, just to make sure you're both on the same page. Gordon had his fiends with the annoying dread fiend and the butchers holding a very solid centre with the soul flares with their 20-inch flying move tucked in behind them. So it looked like the bulk of the combats were going to be over the centre 2 objectives, and I was hoping to maybe my bully could wander off over this way and take that objective maybe. The boomer chariots didn't think they were going to do much this game, just with the lightning bolts and everything, but who knows, maybe they could get an early charge and do some wounds on one of the mine breaches or something. We will see. And here we have Gordon's first turn. Push forward with the Mind Screechers, push forward in the centre with his Butchers and Fiends, and sent forward his two characters up over this way. He managed to destroy my Boomer Chariots, I think, with his various lightning bolts, etc. But otherwise not too much damage in the first turn. It's getting up close to the objectives already though.
End of turn one, I lost the Boomer Chariots. I took a couple of wounds from the Banshee on my warriors over here. My shooting was extremely ineffective, and I managed to not do any wounds with my hits. So over to turn two to the Nightstalkers. Turn two, Gordon. A few wounds on my boomers from his spells. And then over here, he wavered my warriors thanks to the Essentra using her enthrall and then combat. She's nasty. Need to deal with her somehow. My turn two.
And there we have just a bit of an overview. So you can see the Mind Screechers, the Phantoms are screening against the bully over here, and just tucked out of sight is a Sentra who went whizzing over this way and then used her enthrall ability against the warriors and wavered them. So Gordon's just holding back though with the rest of his line, just waiting for the right opportunities.
Okay, turn two from the Ogres. Couple of wounds on the Chaff unit. I healed my boomers. My shooting was a wee bit underwhelming. Still, I managed to miss my target over here, but I think I put two wounds on a Mind Screech. So over to turn three for Gordon. Time for a counterpunch, I reckon. Okay, lots of combat. The Sentra killed the warriors. Many got well and truly hit from two sides and squashed and pulverized. Sent back to the Ice Age. The Dreadfiend did no wounds. Only got about one hit, and I got lucky here. 7 wounds and one short of wavering when hit by 2 units of butchers. So, and over here about 2 wounds there. So I'm hoping I might be able to get a couple of units this turn. All going well. Okay, managed to get some good rolls against one of the butcher units, killed the Chaff unit and the Dread Fiend. So I'm not completely out yet, and we're about to move on to turn 4. There's lots of combats to come.
So a wee bit of revenge by me. I got the Phantoms, got one of the Butcher's units, and also got the Dreadfiend. However, the shooters didn't manage to kill the Soul Flayers. The Fiends can charge into the flank of either the shooters or more likely the Siege Breakers there. So end of turn 3, about to start turn 4. Gordon looks like he's got some pretty good moves ahead of him.
Okay, end of Nightstalkers turn 4. They've well and truly hit me hard that turn. They've taken out the boomers here, and they've taken out the shooters over there, and they have wavered another unit of siege breakers. So I am running out of units very, very quickly.
And there you have it. Another 2 units destroyed. The shooters got flanked by the Fiends and hit in the front by the Soul Flayers. Over here, a bit of an almost repeat. We've got the Soul Flayers in the front and a Mind Screech took out my Boomer horde there. And then just to add to my concerns, my Siege Breakers were wavered. So I am running out of units very, very quickly.
Okay, my turn 4. I managed to do some wounds and waver the butchers, wavered the Mind Screech, 24 attacks into the Soul Flayers. My nerve checks were 3, followed by a double 1. So the Soul Flayers are good. I am going to potentially get rolled up, I think, as a result. But we will see. Turn 5.
And there you have it. Victory to the Nightstalkers. I didn't get any shots of turn 5, but it was pretty much all over by the end of Gordon's turn. He used the Soul Flayers and Butchers and other units to take out both of my Siege Breakers, which left me nothing but a few heroes that weren't going to last very long. So the Ogres slunk back to the northern wastelands to regroup and plan for their revenge sometime in the future. Well, ended up getting well and truly rolled up, but let's have a look at a few of the lessons I learned. Lesson number 1, the bullies. This one was sent out here on a bit of a hopeful mission. Maybe I take the objective, maybe I swing and get the Mind Screechers. Gordon was too clever for that, screening his Mind Screechers well with his Phantom Troop and prevented that. And so the bully was out there isolated and doing not too much at all. He should have probably remained with the bulk of my troops to support them. Same, the Boomer Chariots here. Given the Nightstalkers stealthy, they weren't going to have too much of an effect. I was hoping maybe they would be able to go and nab this objective later on the game or something, or move forward and maybe have a pot shot at the Mind Screechers and get a lucky dice roll. They weren't going to do a great deal, but Gordon decided that since they were my only charge range of 16 unit, to get rid of those early by focus firing with his lightning bolt Mind Screechers on turn 1. The other issue I did make over here was we had a misunderstanding here with where this wood was meant to be located. When we determined that actually it was meant to be outside the deployment area, so my shooters couldn't have their nose in it, able to shoot out. I should have probably just asked Gordon to swap these two units around, because that's the only reason I put them there, was to make sure they're in cover. And it would have been more logical. The boomers can move and shoot without penalty by moving through the woods with pot shot. The boomers, the shooters were well and truly at a disadvantage there. Beside them, Manny pushed him too far forward as well, and managed to get his flank charged, and he got rolled up as a result. And that was just me being not cautious enough. I have a tendency just to eyeball things. It's just a style of play that I like. I don't want to measure every single unit within an nth degree to see exactly where things can or can't be. I kind of, it's not the style of play that I want to do on an evening after a busy day at work. So I tend to just eyeball things a bit and live with the consequences. So in this case, Manny pushed out a bit far. I'll try not to do that next time. Same, this bully over here, same with the other bully. Send him out on a bit of a hopeful mission to try and get around and put some pressure on the flanks. But again, unsupported. He was able to come back and help out over here, but really he should have been part of my main battle group right from the word go. So made a few errors with deployment and choices, and Gordon stuck to his plan and hit my isolated units, chipped them up when he needed to, and took me apart piecemeal. So very well played, Gordon. Thoroughly enjoyed the game. It's a good solid army, as I've said, these Nightstalkers. It's got a good spell phase, but it's also good in combat as well. So I'm struggling to come up with a successful counter, but I will continue to persevere and see if I can do better next time. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this rather one-sided game as it turned out in the end. Hope to have another report for you soon. Ka kite anō, and take care.